So we've just arrived on Rottnest Island, had a pretty good boat ride over. It's warm. Quite a big area actually, I'm quite surprised. The water looks lovely and clear. You can see Perth in the background there. A lot of people riding bikes. And you can hire them here as well, and there's some on the boat. A group of kids were on the boat with us on the day out. How lucky is that?
Keeping us safe, and in the name of safety, whilst the bus is moving, I ask all passengers to please remain seated. We've got a lot of cyclists on the island at the moment. They're very overconfident and underskilled. They can do some creative things in front of us as we make our journey today. So please remain seated while the bus is moving there. Now, our tour today will start off here in the Thompson Bay settlement. We'll head around the island. We're going to hop off at the Camp Fleming at the west end and then make our way back around the northern side of the island. And we'll be stopping off at a number of really lovely locations on the way. You'll be able to stand up and take some lovely photographs there as well. When that happens, if the people on this side of the bus can be considerate for the people on this side of the bus, as most of those ocean views will come in through the left-hand side as we make our way in a clockwise motion around the island there. And maybe just let these guys take a quick photo over your shoulder, that would be fantastic. And as we make our way around today, guys, if you've got personal and private conversations, please can you keep the volume a little quiet so everyone can enjoy the commentary. And if you do have any questions, I'm really good with questions, guys. So if there's any curiosities that I've picked along the way, don't be afraid to throw your hand up and I will take those. I may let you know that it's a really good question, really perceptive. We'll be talking about that exact issue a little bit later on in the tour. Just take that as a gold star for yourself, guys.
So these are mutton bird burrows. So on the edge of that rock there's an osprey nest. It's about 90 years old.
To the centre of the bay as we come around the corner. there's a large triangular marker on top of a large black post in the centre of the bay there. Now that triangle has its point facing up to the sky. If we look over to the right hand side shortly, you'll see that there's another marker up on the hillside there. Now this triangular marker has its point facing down to the ground. Now these are navigational aids known as leading lines, and they are on the island due to some massive efforts by a man named Roland Smith. And it's to Roland Smith that the memorial on the left hand side here is dedicated. Now, Roland Smith was the longest serving member of the Rottnest Island Authority. About 40 years or so he worked on the island, and in the 1960s he noticed a lot of boats making their way over from the mainland. As they were entering the inner bays of Rottnest for safe harbour, they were often wrecking on those limestone reefs that we have around the island. As such, Roland hopped in a little wooden paddling boat. He paddled around each of those 63 bays and beaches on the island, mapping out the reef systems out to sea, as well as naturally occurring passageways through those reef systems. He then lobbied for the installation of those leading lines to be installed here. And if you were on a vessel out to sea and you wanted to come into one of our inner bays, like these ones have here, you would take those leading lines, you would take the top point of the ocean marker and you would put it in line with the bottom point of the land marker, and that would give you a safe and straight lane of access into the bays here, free from impact of those reef systems. So that memorial is a big thank you from the boating community of Western Australia for Roland's efforts and the countless lives and vessels that saved over the years. You guys didn't feel it today, but oftentimes when I take people for a walk there in the afternoon over summer, they'll feel that very strong wind, and then they'll see these tea trees or broccoli trees here. Each one's growing, almost appearing to grow along the ground sideways. They think it's the strength of that wind pushing them down as they grow that causes this. Actually, that wind brings with it salt water. The salt water lands on the southern side of the tree, killing the foliage there. The northern side of the tree continues to grow quite happily, becomes heavier and pulls the tree down in that aspect. And that's why we see this almost prostate growth pattern along the ground there. In contrast, we've had some two very tall straight trees on the left hand side visible shortly. These are Norfolk Island pine trees. They're not native to Rottnest at all. They were spread by seafarers throughout the 17th century. They were hoping to use them as a replacement mast. They're actually quite brittle. They snap relatively easily, so they swapped to using them as an indicator of a point of interest. So safe harbour, fresh water for food source, etc. A very clear, indelible landmark on the coastline there. Now, those tall, straight pine trees, being from an island environment themselves, have some adaptations to help them thrive in this salty environment here. Namely, a very thick, waxy cuticle or covering on their leaves that stops that salt water from damaging.
So coming over on the boat today, we had a 1.7 metre swell, and they've had to cancel 2 ferry services recently because they've had swells over 8 metres.
Now, you'll be looking out over Stark Bay here. Now, Stark Bay is actually one of 2 waves on the island which are classed in the top 50 surfing waves of the world. Stark Bay is actually my favourite wave to zone for returning travellers and citizens. As such, the World Championship Surf Tour were able to base themselves on the island here in order to host that 2021 Championship Tour event. And you'll see the beautiful Stark Bay off there to the left.
It's pretty.
Now, you'll see those yellow floating mooring buoys that we spoke about earlier. We've got a lot more of them present in Stark Bay here. They're another one of our conservation efforts. As I mentioned earlier, it's illegal for any visiting boats to Rottnest to drop their anchors on any of our seagrass systems. So we've provided about 900 of these mooring buoys around Rottnest Island. Most of them are in the northern waters of the island here, as this is the more sheltered and protected side of the island, when we have that predictable afternoon sea breeze that blows through most afternoons here. It's really important that we protect those seagrass systems. Seagrasses are a really important ecosystem resource. They act as a nursery for many species of fish and invertebrates that spend parts of their lifetimes engaged in those seagrass meadows. They also produce a wealth of oxygen. They're very effective photosynthesizers, and the 1 square metre of seagrass can produce over 10 litres of oxygen daily. That same 1 square metre of seagrass, if it's damaged, can take over a decade to recover, if it ever recovers at all. Now you'll see that we're coming past Ricey Beach here, named Ricey Beach after the grains of sand found here, which are very large, like a grain of rice. Now, we had large grains of sand there due to the fact that we had some fish species that were great here. This is the wonderful city of York Bay, a really fantastic snorkeling, scuba diving and fishing location. Now, despite its beauty, it is actually the site of the worst naval tragedy in the island's history. In 1899, the cargo vessel, the City of York, was on its way from San Francisco, heading towards Fremantle Harbour with a cargo of about 4,000 wooden doors. They arrived in the northern waters of the island here on a wintry afternoon, at which point the lighthouse keeper at the Lodgemont Lighthouse in the centre of the island lit a flare at the base of that lighthouse to communicate with the captain, please wait where you are for a pilot vessel to come and collect you and provide safe navigation through to Fremantle Harbour. You'll be able to see that Lodgemont Lighthouse in just a moment on the right hand side in the interior of the island there. Safe navigation for any vessels coming through the northern waters and preventing any similar tragedies from occurring again. And that Bathurst Lighthouse is only a short 10 or 15 minute walk from where the tour finishes off today in the Thompson Settlement. It's a really wonderful scenic lookout over the northern waters, really fantastic little swimming beach there as well, the basin, and that will be one of the better swimming beaches on the island this afternoon. With that sea breeze approaching from the southwest, those northern beaches are the most protected. Now you'll see a blue tree come past on the right hand side. That blue tree is a part of a mental health awareness campaign which originated in regional Australia as a way to communicate that despite the large geographic distances between people, that you are close within your communities, and it is okay to talk about mental health issues. You'll often see dead trees on the side of remote country roadways and highways painted that blue colour as a really visible communicator between people in those communities or passing through those communities, and they are painted blue to symbolise and signify the feeling of being blue or sad, etc. Now these eucalyptus trees that you'll see along the side of the road, they're not native to the island anymore. Like the kangaroos and emus on the island, they haven't been able to survive since the island has been isolated from the coastline with no fresh water stores here. These ones are a result of early seedling efforts from the 1960s. They're not doing a very good job of surviving, let alone spreading with that lack of fresh water, so we've decided to leave those eucalyptus trees to see out the last of their days on the island here. Now you'll see that we have a salt lake off to the right hand side here. This is one of the 12 salt lakes on the island, about 10% of the land area here. These are a result of the geology of the island. These are low points, slightly below sea level. Being a porous limestone rock island, the seawater can penetrate through beneath us, where it seeps back up in these low points. Then through evaporation over summer, the fresh water evaporates out. The water that's left behind is about 8 to 12 times saltier than the ocean. Most brine shrimp are a food source for over 20 species of northern hemisphere migratory wetland birds. They fly to us from as far away as Siberia and Mongolia. They use this area as a critical resting, nesting and feeding location. As such, all of the salt lakes on the island are fully protected under the International Migratory Species Agreements. It's illegal to impact them in any way. You're not allowed to walk along the bank or swim in the waters of the salt lakes. I'm not sure why anyone would want to swim in those salt lakes. As I said, at least 8 times saltier than the ocean, and they are very full of bird poo. Particularly when we've got a beautiful beach like this, the wonderful Geordie Bay, only 150 metres away or so. Now this is the second of 2 accommodation settlements on the island. This one was built in the 1970s. It's a real favourite destination for the boating community of Western Australia to come for their holidays, as they can bring their own vessels in, moor off on those mooring buoys that we've provided. Mum and Dad can hang out in the balcony of the accommodations up on the hillside here, watch their kids playing in the safe protected waters below, maybe enjoy a nice cup of tea or something. And most of the bays and beaches of Rottnest are completely covered like this in big seagrass meadow. Those turquoise sections seagrass meadows, where we've seen some of our less scrupulous boat owners damaging those ecosystems, either by dropping their anchors and dragging through the seagrasses, or by tearing them up with their propellers on their motors. It's a real bummer to see. As I said, even small amounts of damage can take an incredibly long amount of time to recover. As I said, about 1 square metre can take over a decade to recover. And once enough damage has actually been occurred to those seagrass meadows, similar to the dune systems that you find on the land, if vegetation is removed across part of those dune systems, it allows access for the wind to start eroding that dune and to eat it all away from the inside. The same process can happen with our seagrass meadows, except it's the movement of water that acts as the driving force of the erosion there. So a small amount of damage to a very large seagrass meadow can result in the entire loss of our seagrass meadow. Dollars at the luxury resort, those bungalow units and stuff that you see on the hillside there and back in the Thompson settlement have varying prices. Lower prices, less luxury units with no views. More luxury units such as those ones there have much higher prices. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were $700, $800, $900 a night even.
Jesus.
Now if it's on the island here, we installed that in 2004. It cost about $4 million and it paid itself off within 10 years, and it spent the last decade saving us over $4 million and 2 million litres of diesel fuel in our diesel generators. We also have some solar panels. We'll be upgrading our solar panel network, as well as upgrading that turbine with 2 smaller but more efficient turbines. We currently produce about 45% of our annual energy needs through renewable technology, and we'll be scaling that up over the coming years. And you'll see another one of our salt lakes on the right hand side here. On the far shores from us, you'll see that there's a building there. Now that building played a major role in the deforestation of the island here, as that was the main salt water that foam along the shoreline of the lakes there. Now, I mentioned a number of times we have no freshwater stores on the island. We do have those 800,000 visitors to the island, as well as some businesses here that need fresh water as well. We provide that fresh water using desalination plants. We have 3 of them around the island. They use reverse osmosis to take the ocean water and return it to a freshwater state for us. Now you'll see on the far shore there's a lot more of those Norfolk Island pine trees. Underneath those pine trees you'll see we have some greenish golf greens. They are greenish because we don't use any of the desalinated water on the golf course. It's watered entirely with grey and wastewater sources. Now this lake that you'll see just off to the left in front of us here was once used as an early marketing tool to bring tourists to the island in the 1930s. It was marketed as a health spa, so if you had some kind of sickness, maybe a very bad hangover, you go for a swim in the lake there, you'd be cured. There's a little bit of a porky, a bit of fraudulent advertising. It was successful in bringing those early tourists over. Similarly, the palm trees that you'll see on the shore of the lake there, they're not native to the island at all. They were planted in order to market the island as a tropical island of Star Getaway. That is actually a redevelopment of a previously existing building. Being an A-class nature reserve, we're actually restricted in doing any new developments. We can't put any new developments in. We're restricted to redeveloping previously existing infrastructures here. Many years ago they did build it and they're currently renovating it. Now these trees that we see here, guys, is a really fantastic location to come and spot a quokka and take a photo. And there is a quokka a little bit further back in the meadow there. A much nicer location to get a photo of a quokka than out the front of the bakery with the 20,000 other tourists. It is only a short walk from where we'll be finishing our tour today, and I'll be happy to give you the directions to make it back here if you would like to come and spot a quokka, get a keepsake photo of those quokkas in a much nicer location. 10-15 minute walk to the north there. That's a really lovely little snorkeling swimming beach if anyone's feeling a little warm today. Now as we make our way back into Thompson Bay here, guys, most of the food and beverages are in the settlement there, including Frankie's restaurant. If you have lunchtime reservation, they're back in the settlement. There is a pub down the roadway here as well if you prefer a pint and some fish and chips for lunch.
So here's the quokka. You can see how the that person thought it was a big rat. Look at him. This one's more out in the wild and not near the bakery. His little mouse. I'm sniffing your bag. Ooh, here he comes. Right onto my feet. He's right there. There he goes.
Si muovono in quel modo lì strano, adesso lo tiro la sotto con la bicicletta.
It's very hard to see. So this is a good sign. Oh, no quokkas allowed. So Pinky Beach is the one we want to go to. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we're headed. Pinky's Beach, or Pinky Beach. Nice bird sound.
You're right, there's clockers. All the trees. And rubbish, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Just to blend in. It's true there. So we just climbed upstairs to the lighthouse. Oh, gives you a good view up here. So there's also a campsite by the looks of it. There's that wind turbine over there. So that looks like it's Pinky Beach. Where we're going to go. People are starting to put locks on the fences. Oh, someone's got a bike chain up here. We've just come back from the beach. It's really quite nice in there, refreshing. And you can just see the quokkas. This is in a residential part. They're very hard to see in the shade. Cute things they are. How sweet is this? It's so sweet. Oh, I was going to take a picture of you there. You got up too quick. Yeah, yes, I am. Oh, look. Oh, wow. How cute is that? Oh, wow. You're lucky. Oh, he's a sweet little fellow. His friends over here. Hello. Oh, what's this?
This one's running across. I'm coming across the road, think something good.
Yeah. Wow. Watch out, guys.
They know there's cyclists.
Pop, 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 pop. There's quite a few places to stay here. There's another little quokka under the bikes. He's a big one though. Hello. Hello, kitty. Oh, there's more here. Goodness. Big ones. Hello. Hello. Let me see what I've got.
You're probably about that much shorter.
Funny how they sleep like that. So it's a bee risk area. You can see the bees flying around. You can see their hive up there. Wow, there's a lot there.